Welcome back to the channel. This is a 2004 Z06 Corvette, and today we're going to take it to a racetrack that I have not been to before, and I have no idea how this is going to go. I just did a bunch of repairs to this car after it kind of broke the last time I took it out. So it now has fresh engine oil, fresh transmission fluid, fresh rear differential fluid, fresh brake fluid, new oxygen sensors on both the driver and the passenger side. I sorted a couple electrical issues, a new battery, then I replaced the coolant expansion tank and wrapped it in this ridiculous pattern. So I figured the best way to test all of these repairs is to drive this car 4 hours away to a racetrack where I'll beat on it for about an hour and then drive it 4 hours home. And this is also a racetrack I haven't been to before, so the chances of me going off and kissing the guardrail are probably a bit higher than I'd like to admit. But I don't have a car like this because I make smart choices, I do it because I make questionable decisions. So with that, let's get into it. I'll be running this event through SCCA Track Nights in America, which in my opinion is probably one of the cheapest and most accessible ways to get on the racetrack if you're looking to do that. And having done events like this in the past, the racetrack is a lot more stressful on your car than doing something like an autocross or even like a highway pull, because you're really sustaining maximum throttle, braking, and cornering for periods of about 20 minutes at a time. So depending on how much you trust your vehicle and how far away the track is, it is a good idea to have a few things that you bring with you just in case something happens to break. A camping chair is always an essential, and I also bring a cooler not only to keep some cold beverages and or food, but also as a container that holds all the things I want to bring but is very easy to take in and out of the car. You obviously don't want this stuff in the car while you're on track because of the risk of it becoming a missile and smacking you in the back of the head, so instead it is much easier to pull just this one cooler out than pulling out the ratchets, wrenches, and any other essentials that you might be bringing separately. And because I replaced my coolant expansion tank literally in the weeks leading up to this event, I also think it's probably a good idea for me to bring some spare coolant and some distilled water just in case. And this is probably overpacking and is certainly more than I have ever packed for one of the previous events that I've participated in. But like I said, this is roughly 4 hours and 185 miles away, so for me it was worth it to have that extra peace of mind knowing that I was going to be a lot farther from home. But at this point, the open road was the only thing separating me from the racetrack, so after a couple hours of driving and several miles on Massachusetts back roads, absolutely destroying the alignment that I just did, I finally arrived at Lime Rock Park in Northwest Connecticut under a very hazy sky, courtesy of Canada being on fire. At this point, I got everything ready for the event, got all the loose items out of my car and got it through tech inspection, and then caught up with a friend of mine who has driven more racetracks than I can even name and who consistently outruns my Corvette with 1/3 of the horsepower. Which brings us to the guided paced laps where you play follow the leader with an instructor who knows the course, and it really gives you that first drive and the first sighting of the lap behind somebody who's actually familiar with it, who can show you the racing line, and so that you don't barrel into a corner going 2 times the speed you should, putting yourself into a guardrail. And as you can see, the cars participating today are very diverse. My friend's running his Mazda Miata, I'm running my C5 Z06 Corvette, but there's also a Lexus RC F Sport, a supercharged Mustang GT, a ZL1 Camaro, as well as a Shelby GT350. And a car not to be underestimated, a Civic Type R. And while some of these are some seriously fast, powerful, or capable vehicles, what these events teach you more than anything else is that it doesn't so much matter what you bring as who's behind the wheel driving it. Even though he'd be running in the experienced or advanced group and I would be running in the novice group, that friend with the Mazda Miata consistently outruns me in my Z06 Corvette, and his personal best on this track is a 1 minute, 3.5 second lap. Meaning my personal goal for the day, having never driven this track before, was to run a 1 minute, 8.5 second lap, and I have no idea if that is good. And for those who don't know, I was victim of a pretty significant head and neck injury at work a number of years ago, which really took away a lot of my ability. So quite frankly, even just my ability to feel what the car is doing and knowing where I am in space and how the grip levels are has greatly diminished as a result of that injury, meaning that it is much harder for me to detect when I'm pushing the car closer to the edge and much harder to catch it once that edge is exceeded. And as a result of that, I tend to err on the side of caution instead of being on the side of needing to schedule a funeral. But having said all that, the format for track night is that you get 3 20-minute sessions, and going out for session 1, I really tend to try to learn the track and then sort of find that limit slowly and gradually, and then generally try to push a little bit closer to the limit by the end of the session, realizing that I still have 2 more sessions after that I need to survive if I want to see. So looking here at all the lap times that I posted in that first session, you can clearly see that reflected. The very first lap time was literally the first time seeing this track on my own out there, so we're going to ignore that time for a bit. But you can see I started out at about a 1 minute 16 second pace after that for the first couple of laps, and granted, part of that is because I was stuck behind the traffic in front of me. And from there, as I was able to get around a few of those vehicles, you can see me dropping down to about a 1 minute 13 second lap, then trying a new line down to about a 1:11, then cracking into the 1 minute 10s, and finally finishing the session with my best time so far at a 1 minute 10.1 second lap. And while a 6 to 6.5 second improvement per lap is phenomenal for a single session out on a new track, I am still at least 2 seconds off of my goal of a 1 minute 8.5, which is based on being 5 seconds behind a Mazda Miata at a 103.5. Or worded differently, that's not great.
Let's go, boys. That was so good. That is the first time I've ever had a session where I passed but was not passed.
Bringing us to the bonus session of the public paced laps. Now, being open to the public, the pace set by the instructor at the front is even slower than the guided laps for the novice group at the start of the day. But trying to get the most improvement and benefit that I could out of this day, I handed my keys over to my friend with the Miata, let him hop in the driver's seat of my Corvette for a few laps, and then took every mental note I could as he gave me a bunch of pointers while showing me a much better line. And armed with his new guidance and the knowledge that I previously ran a 1 minute 10.1, my friend challenged me to break into the 107s, which I thought would have been a little bit of a stretch goal, but in his words, all I had to do was drive better. But armed with this new information, I went into session 2 with a few key areas that I knew I could push a little bit harder based on his feedback, most notably being the very last corner prior to the front straight, because not only would carrying a little bit more momentum and getting on the throttle earlier shave time off of that corner, but every mile per hour I'm adding to the car's speed exiting that corner is an additional mile per hour that I carry for the entire length of that front straight.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
And somehow, shockingly, it did, and it did so immediately. On my second lap, I had already clicked off a 1 minute 9.7 second, improving on my prior best time, got stuck behind traffic for a few laps, and then going into lap 6, had a little bit more breathing room and managed a 1 minute 7.2 second lap. Which means by lap 6, not only did I shave 3 full seconds off of my session 1 best, but I also beat my personal goal for the day of a 1 minute 8.5, and not only met my friend's goal of cracking into the 107, but went deep into the 107s at a 107.2. Even more surprising is that this wasn't a fluke, and I followed it up with a 107.4 on the next lap before getting caught in traffic for the next several laps after. Passing in these events is point by only, meaning the car in front of you has to give you permission prior to you being allowed to go around. So unfortunately, if you're stuck behind someone who's not necessarily paying attention or who is a little bit of a road hog, it does hold you up, and some of the later times in this session reflect that. Even so, I managed to stay on the heels of this ZL1 Camaro for almost the entirety of this session, which is especially impressive because not only is my car at least 10 years older, but that Camaro also had a 200 horsepower advantage when it left the factory showroom, and that one had been modified, producing even more horsepower, making my ability to hunt him down at all even more impressive. So even though that 1 minute 7.2 second lap remained my best time for the rest of that session, at this point I was starting to really build some confidence not only in this car, but also in myself. Because knowing what cars were also in the novice group with me, I had come to the realization that I was outpacing nearly every single one of them regardless of price point, regardless of modifications, regardless of horsepower advantage, and even regardless of age and technology, with a lot of these being developed with more advanced manufacturing and design methods a decade or more after my car was produced. With the unexpected downside being that I was now caught up in traffic and wasting way too much time waiting for point buys, stopping me from being able to get a clean open lap and to pursue my personal best. Because while that 107.2 was a great accomplishment, I still felt like this car had a ton more to give, and that I as a driver had slightly more to give, but certainly not as much as the car, because quite frankly I was getting scared. And to be clear, I'm not saying that I had a ton left to give, because I knew for a fact that this car's capabilities are probably well beyond my limits as a driver, and that prior head injury that I mentioned earlier has given me a much better sense of mortality, but at the very least I was hoping to shave at least that last 0.3 seconds to now break into the 106s. But in order to do that, I would need a little more runway and a little less traffic, so going into session 3 I had developed a plan.
Alright, we're heading over early so that I can get a good spot and not be held up this time, just to see what happens. First 3, and it's going to be the 3 fastest of us. the two cars that I was going back and forth with earlier. All right, we got a couple minutes. Stay on course, that's our goal. Don't hit anyone, don't hit anything. You still gotta get home.
Pulling up to the line, I noticed that the Civic Type R and the Shelby GT350 also had this same strategy to pull in early so we wouldn't have any traffic ahead of us, which in my opinion was perfect because these were the only two other cars that I was aware of who were running at least on pace or potentially faster than me, and with all of us having the same plan, that means we would finally have an open track in front of us with minimal obstruction to really see what we could run, at least for a couple of laps. Which means that this was it, the big moment to see who was the fastest car in the slowest run group. The atmosphere was becoming increasingly ominous. The smoke from Canada was becoming more dense and decreasing visibility to the point that the event organizers told us that headlights were now required for the last session because of how thick the smoke had become. And while everyone loves a good pair of pop-up headlights, they certainly don't help the aerodynamics of the Corvette, meaning I would have to rely on skill, talent, and sheer dumb luck to keep up. But fortunately for me, sheer dumb luck seemed to be on my side because the strategy was almost immediately paying off. I ran a 107.1 on my second lap out, already beating my personal best for the day. Then after hitting a little traffic on lap 3, hit 4 additional consecutive laps in the low to mid 1 minute 7 second range. At this point it was clear that the Civic Type R was outpacing me and was consistently running about a 1 minute 3.5 second lap in the same way that I was outpacing the Shelby GT350 by about 2 seconds. And in fact, I was running quick enough at this point that I was actually lapping vehicles by laps 8 and 9 before finally getting a little more open track on lap 10 and being able to push the car just a little bit harder for the last 4 laps of the day. And somehow, finally, on these last 3 laps, I broke into the 1 minute 6 second barrier with a personal best time on lap 12 of 1 minute 6.3 seconds. Which means that not only did I beat my personal objective by more than 2 seconds, but I also came within 3 seconds of the time set by my friend who is a seriously competitive driver and who has set multiple lap records for the time trials class that he competes in. So did I get outrun by a Mazda Miata with 1/3 of the horsepower? Yes. Did I also get outrun by a Civic Type R with performance tires and brake upgrades? Also a yes. But I shaved a total of 10 seconds a lap over the course of these 3 sessions, and beyond that, perhaps more importantly, I did it without hurting myself and without breaking anything on the car, which is not something I could say after the last event. Which is really good, because the supercharged Mustang GT, the ZL1 Camaro, the highly modified BMW, all of those drove into the track, and they were not the only ones who left on a tow truck. Participating in this event was a lot for me, both mentally and physically, partially because it's a new track, partially because it's the farthest that I've ever driven for an event like this in the same day, but also with that injury I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of chronic pain. So while I used to love doing these events and I would do them as often as I reasonably could, that injury has prevented me from participating in this for a long time. Yes, this was a lot on my body, yes, it flared a lot of the pain symptoms, and yes, this was a very long and demanding day which drained me completely, but at the end of the day, I was so proud of myself for being able to get to a point that I could at least attempt this again in any capacity, and then to not only do that, but to show the progress that I made of shaving off 10 seconds a lap over the course of those 3 sessions. That is, in my opinion, absolutely incredible and something that honestly I didn't know that I would ever be able to do again, even though it's something that I enjoy and that I love. So while this was very demanding both mentally and physically, I'm so glad that I participated in this event. I think this was a huge success considering how I expected it to go, but at this point the only thing left to do was pack up and drive home.
That concludes my first event here at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. Now my best time was 1 minute 6.3 seconds, and I have no idea if that is good. And mechanically, at least for me, everything seems to be functioning properly. So I sorted a bunch of stuff before this. I was worried that I might spring another coolant leak or something, but everything held, everything is good. I did get a high transmission fluid temperature warning, and the transmission didn't feel nearly as hot as it did last time I did a track event, and I didn't get that warning last time. But all the fluids in this car are completely fresh, so I'm not terribly worried about it. At most, I'll just have to change the fluid again. And now the only thing I gotta worry about is the 3 to 4 hour drive home. So that'll do it for this episode. I wanna thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.